In the meantime, President Trump signaling he's not backing down in his border wall fight with Democrats, even if it means keeping the government shut down for the foreseeable future. Today in Iraq, the president said it's all about keeping Americans safe. Watch.
How long do you think the shutdown will last, Mr. President?
Whatever it takes. I mean, we're going to have a wall. We're going to have safety. We need safety for our country, even from this standpoint. We have terrorists coming in through the southern border. We have the terrorists also coming in, fellas, through the southern border. Because you know what? It was always the easiest. Now, we've made it very tough. But I won't put them on the spot. But I guarantee you, they would say, you don't have a wall. You're not going to have, I mean, the folks are saying, can we have some drones? Can we have technology? Technology is bells and whistles. You have to have a wall. You have to have protection.
Of course, Democrats have said there will be no wall. And in an interview with USA Today, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who will likely be the next House Speaker, again mocked the president's plan, saying, quote, first of all, the fact that he says we're going to build a wall with cement and Mexico's going to pay for it while he's already backed off of the cement. Now he's down to, I think, a beaded curtain or something. I'm not sure where he is. He's on his way back from Iraq. But now back to the shutdown showdown. Is it possible that this could be a good thing? Joining me now, Reason.com and Reason TV editor-at-large, the one and only Nick Gillespie. So are people realizing how little they need the federal government?
The stock market rallied while Trump was in Iraq. So, yeah, maybe this is a teachable moment of a different sort. But, the fact of the matter is that out of the $1.2 trillion a year that Congress is spending, they had already parceled out about $930 billion of that. And oddly, given Trump's, worries about immigration, one of the things that gets shut down is the E-Verify program when there's a government shutdown. So it may be that more illegals can be hired now because the number you're calling in isn't being picked up.
Hey, man, if the electric fence is down, the dog's going to bark and run.
Well, and it is slats. It's not cement, and it's not a wall, and it's not beads. Although I like beads.
I
think
love
the
beaded
beads
curtains.
would be,
Reminds me of Greg Brady's room.
Absolutely.
When he moved to
that,
that sick loft.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the semantics and how important is a wall?
Yeah, it's odd because when Trump just said, like, hey, don't tell me about technology, that's all bells and whistles, that's actually how most of the people get caught. In 2016, according to DHS, about more than 600,000 people came here illegally. By coming into the country legally and then overstaying their visas, only about 200,000 snuck in somewhere outside of a port of entry. So if you really want to go where like the big fish are, you would actually be working on how do you track people who enter the country legally and then stay here. Because
that's the biggest issue that no one wants to tackle, but that also goes back to Congress's responsibility to craft understandable, non-chaotic immigration laws, which they refuse to do. It doesn't matter if both parties are, if it's a split government or one party is in power, they cannot figure out how to do it, I think because they don't want to do it. But it's interesting because as we have this hyper-focus on the southern border, and the president says our biggest worry is either filthy rapists who are coming with their drugs in suitcases over the border, or terrorists, no one's paying attention to what's coming up over the north. The northern wall is what we really need, because if you were a terrorist, wouldn't you want to just waltz through Victoria or Vancouver Island in order to get to these United States?
The Peace Bridge in Niagara Falls or whatever, there's all sorts of nice places to come in from. But again, most of it is that people come here and they overstay on work visas or on student visas or on tourist visas. So that is, if you're worried about terrorism, it's really like this isn't the big thing. The big thing isn't really immigration coming up from the south.
Essentially
or
lazy. They want to kill Americans, but they don't want to expend that much energy doing it.
They have a life.
They don't want to make a 1,000-mile trek through a hot, unforgiving desert in order to come here and do some harm. I think there are other ways, and the path of least resistance is more attractive to those who want to take away our freedom.
And, then there's, speaking of people who want to take away our freedom, there's Congress. Yes. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out once the Democrats take control of the House, because they will have a lot of bargaining power and whatnot. But it's, Trump has made it very clear both in the past that he means what he says, and then he can also adapt to almost any circumstance that is thrown to him. So I suspect that this stuff gets wrapped up relatively quickly after the new year, because in the end,
who's going to give, though?
You know what? They'll both give something, and
so
they'll
he'll
give
get a few $1 billion for the wall or the wall system or the fencing.
He'll say he can call it, he can pull it from somewhere else or something like that. The Democrats will say that they haven't given anything, and it's the taxpayers. We're the ones who are sitting on top of those sharp, spiky slats in the middle.
But and not just for the wall funding.
That's right.
I mean, there's so many areas.
Well, this is the tragedy of a government shutdown, is that it's only a shutdown in name only. Most of what the federal government spends money on, it continues to go out. All of the Social Security and Medicare checks, interest on the debt, various other things like that. All of these things pile up, and actually government shutdowns end up costing money because people don't work. They get back pay. Certain fees and things like that go into it. It always ends up costing more to shut the government down.
It's going to cost more money, because I know people were very upset today when I talked about the benefits of a government shutdown, because people realize how little they need the federal government, and people said that's so heartless, because there are 800,000 federal workers who are reliant upon the government because the government has grown so vast. But I would argue that the economy is so healthy that it certainly could absorb some of those workers in the private sector.
Certainly, and they will get, if past this prologue, they're going to get paid. They'll get back pay, and it is true. It's uncomfortable to go without an actual paycheck for a few weeks.
Absolutely.
Having said that, they know that they're going to be made whole, and really it's the U.S. taxpayer and it's Congress. I mean, Congress has not passed a real budget in decades.
No, and that's the thing.
This is the biggest problem.
You talk about federal workers who are unfairly being punished and they won't get paid for a few weeks. They will get back pay, but you think of the Americans who haven't had jobs and who haven't been fully employed because people in Congress are just looking out for their own asses, and they are not getting out of the way so those people can start businesses and thrive on their own. And that is the crime. That is the immorality of the entire picture, which I now see for the first time thanks to you, Nick Gillespie.
Thank you.
The Titan of Freedom, clad in black. Thank you, sir.